I love what you're doing. Go ahead. Whatever you're doing right now is phenomenal. You are a mess. You're. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get a haircut? Is that what we're doing?
I'm trying to get it. Yeah, well, I gotta get a haircut from John the barber. Who knows how to cut one kind of hairstyle. So you go in, you tell him, "Hey, I need this, and he cuts it the same way."
Yeah.
I had to pick up a prescription for my Adderall because that's kind of important for me to get through the day. And then I seem to have lost it too. And then what else did I have to do today? I had something else. I'm gonna try and get to the gym. I mean, I suffered an injury. We have a big story on fast food coming out in the paper. I suffered an injury the other day from fast food. I strained my oblique.
Are you? So you're you're the subject of this?
No, God, no. So, but no. So I don't know. I just living life, and when you live out on the farm, to get to civilization that you need sometimes, it requires the 45-minute drive from Ording to Tacoma. I don't know how it takes that long, but it does.
I don't want to the Wednesday.
I don't want to think about how much time I spend in my vehicle, but if you do, it might be like if I thought about how much time I've spent in my vehicle driving these roads since I moved out here, it might be the most fucking depressing thing I've ever thought about in my life. This side of thinking about death.
Folks, this is the start to a wonderful Wednesday edition of the Ryan Divish Show, which is proudly brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Bowling alley, it's been around forever, been serving the community since 1941. They're located in the Proctor District. The Frederick family. This is what you're getting. This is your money right here, Reggie Frederick. Family owned and operated for 40-plus years.
I'm not very far from the Chalet Bowl.
You're not very far
right
from
around the corner. I could go grab some lunch there. Get some bowling alley fries, like crispy fries.
Yeah, you should. They've been delivering top-notch customer service at the unique 12-lane facility. Check them out at chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. Experience the best in local fun. We are in the Puck Sports Studios, built by Limbeck Lumber. And Divish, Divish is in his car, waiting outside to get it. What are we doing? We're getting a haircut.
Yeah, I need a haircut. I get my haircut every 10 days because I'm trying to keep the gray down in it a little bit, but my Japanese heritage, my hair doesn't grow down, it grows out. And so it gets a little puffy. So we keep the sides and back shaved real tight and, keep it trimmed up because I don't need to accentuate the size of my cranium with a bigger hair than I already have. So you
are an American. Yeah, you are an American patriot. Is what you are. I mean, you got a lot of moving parts right now, don't you?
It's just there is no amount of Adderall they could put into my system that would probably make me normal. It doesn't work. I'm telling you, I'm gonna go try those mushrooms things too, or whatever those nootropics things next.
Yeah, I think that's good for you. I think anytime that you're battling, a type of, attention deficit, let's go mushrooms.
Hey, like some people go like weed, so I mean, can't really do that. But I don't know. It's a controlled. It's not like I'm just doing the mushrooms that are legal down in Oregon, where I'm seeing Aztec temples and camels and God knows what. No, this is more like, I don't know. But we'll try it. It's on Facebook. How bad can it be for you?
I think anytime you hear, "Hey, it's on Facebook," I don't know if that "Hey, it's on Facebook" is the ringing endorsement for trying something. You know what I mean?
What do you think is worse though, Facebook or Twitter? Like Facebook, it's all your friends and relatives saying stupid shit on there, and then oversharing their lives, or Twitter where it's a bunch of strangers yelling at you, telling you're a jackass and bitching about pinch hitting and all this other stuff. What do you think is worse?
Well, I don't spend much time on Facebook, so I'll just take your word for it that maybe I don't know which is worse. I don't get caught up in Twitter. I don't engage as much like back and forth on Twitter. I mean, Twitter to me is just like a newspaper, right? I just use it for news and just being a smart ass and posting stupid videos. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of have fun with it. If I were in your position, yeah, it would get annoying to deal with everyone like asking you like you're a part of the team. I mean, I get it. I mean, it can be it's like, like So What once said, it can be a cesspool of corruption.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not out there giving signs, like at the nose to the fingers, 2 fingers, like I'm like giving signs, or I'm not, I'm not apparently running the iPad or whatever. I'm not in the meeting saying, hey, Scott, you really got to pinch hit here. I mean, we ask about it, but like, so I know you're going to ask me about this. I knew Garver was going to pinch hit with a lefty coming up before the inning started. Like when Luke Raley was going to come up in that inning and there's a lefty on the mound, I knew Garver was going to pinch hit because that's what he's on the roster for. And he has like a 790 OPS against lefties, and Luke Raley has got like a 400 OPS against lefties. It wasn't, that's what they do. That's not just Scott. That's what everybody else does. That's what other teams would do as well. So I don't know, like people were so stunned by it. I'm like, the guy's on the roster. This is his role on the roster. You got to do it. That's why you put the roster together. That's how you play. Sorry, you don't like it. You want to go through gut. A guy hit a homer. This is the way you should do it. The percentages say that. It's blackjack percentages. It's, like, look, if say it's like in basketball. If there was a foul and you had to pick one of the guys on your bench to shoot the free throws because the guy got hurt or whatever, are you picking Shaq or are you picking somebody like Jamal Murray or Jamal Crawford? Are you picking Shaq or Jamal Crawford? That's what it is. Your percentages, you take who's the better one overall in that situation.
Well, I mean, it's a bigger conversation, and I think that managers, right, and whoever makes these decisions, they look great, right, when they work.
Yeah.
And then when they don't work, they look foolish. And we all do it. It's the Monday morning quarterback. And, baseball is different because it's every single day. So, Scott Servais can be a terrific manager one day, and then the next night he can be the worst manager that baseball, has ever seen. A few days ago, and I'm we do this once a week, so I'm trying to think back when the game was. I think it was Saturday night because I was there. Against the Phillies, he pinch hits, late for Garver with Raley.
Yeah.
And Raley delivers late in the game. Yeah, big double off the wall. And a great decision by Scott Servais. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Then you get in the situation this week, right, where he does, it's the opposite. Garver's up late in the game, or excuse me, Raley is. You got a left-hander in there, and then he decides to pinch hit in that situation, and Garver, strikes out on 3 straight pitches, and people are like, he's an idiot. Scott's, what are you doing? You look at the numbers and you're right. This is where I think the balance becomes with numbers and feel and gut and all of it. And I know they take it all into account. The numbers would say it was a smart decision. He's got an OPS damn near at 800 as Garver against left-handers, and Luke Raley's like 470. I mean, numbers would tell you it's a duh. If you don't use Garver there, when would you ever use Mitch Garver? I guess the gut reaction, if you're managing just on feel, would be Garver's done and lost, and really in that situation, even though you got a lefty up there, that Raley's the best option. So there's a balance, right, Ryan, of how a manager's got to go about it. I don't know really. I'll be honest with you. I'm not trying to sit on the fence with it, but I can see both sides of it. But I think what was alarming this week about the Garver AB when he hit for Raley was he just looked defeated up there. That last swing was zero effort, just zero.
That was a defensive passive swing, just hoping to make contact versus an aggressive swing that you're trying to do something with. But you're 2 strikes, you're down 0-2. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's you read the whole psychology of it, and Garver is beaten up mentally and emotionally and all this other stuff. But at the same time, like, as a coach, you're trying to put guys in the best position to have success, to maybe can have continued success. Well, there is no other situation for Mitch Garver than to bat against a left-handed pitcher to have success. The guy made a couple pretty good pitches. I think it's like, if he gets a hit there, say if he gets a hit and then feels something better, and then has some confidence, then you're like, okay, maybe this is going to get him going. We have that conversation all the time. It's the great debate. Oh, yeah, get him out there, just get him going. All he needs is a hit, have some success, have some confidence. So you're in that point, too. Like, and that's the thing is, like, so to me, yeah, there's a feel portion of it, too. But again, like if I'm playing blackjack and your former co-host who doesn't go by the book, but he feels like there's a 6 coming, I'm going to punch him in the freaking face if I got 20 and he doesn't take the bus. If he takes the bus card and then the guy gets 19 or 21 on the next thing. Like, the percentages say you should play it that way regardless of the emotion or your feel that something might happen or isn't going to happen. That's the whole logic of not just analytics, but of just what, you're playing the percentages, you're playing the odds. It's like the whole kind of Moneyball aspect of it all. And I mean, like, it's why, people don't bunt as much as they used to before, because they kind of realized they went through and ran all the data and it didn't show that you scored any more runs when you bunted a runner from first to second with nobody out. It actually showed that you scored less runs doing it that way. So I think, yeah, I get the whole thing, and it was a bad look because he struck out on 3 pitches. But, you're carrying this guy on your roster. I think they still believe he has some value. I mean, the one thing he can do when he does make contact is hit it hard to left field and pop a home run. I mean, in that point, there's 2 outs, there's a runner on. That's your only hope, is to hit a home run, really, to try and tie the game. I mean, yeah, you keep it going or whatever. But, I mean, it was a suckwad effort from the first pitch on. That was, like they allowed this guy to throw a bunch of breaking balls, and they swung at him, and they were bad all night against. I mean, like, I can name 2 freaking people on the Tigers right now, and I cover Major League Baseball. I mean, it's freaking Javi Baez and that Colt Keith guy.
The Veerling guy.
Matt Veerling. Yeah, I've heard of him, I think. But yeah, I mean, like, and Scole, obviously, but they didn't have enough traffic. And then the 2 times they were going to get something going, or Rosarena hit a double play, killed it. They don't put enough runners on base as it is. So when they do screw up, or they do not, they can't waste those opportunities.
Yeah, I just think, but you understand. I think when you get into a situation like Garver on Tuesday, do you see the other side of it? That yes, the numbers would suggest, yeah, that's the perfect time to pinch in for. And again, if you have him on the team, and if you don't do it, when are you going to use him there? But at the same time, this is a guy that I don't know what he's 0 for his last whatever. In the last month, he's hitting, I think, $107. I mean, he's completely lost up there. I mean, at that point, do you see the other side of it where you're like, hey, this guy, the only one that's done anything today for us is Luke Raley? Why don't we just, maybe the gut says Luke Raley's a better fit there, despite the numbers against left-handers?
No, I get the sentiment. I do. But part of the reason, like, for a stretch there, if you look at Luke Raley's July, I think it wasn't very good. And part of it was they had to play him against some lefties too, because of injuries and other stuff. And I think that puts him in a bad position. I'm not saying he's just totally lost up there. I think Luke will always try and fight through an at bat. You know what I mean? Like, he'll always try and foul through pitches and like, he may do the bunt thing every once in a while or whatever. I mean, like, he's going to try and figure out a way, but, more often than not, you're putting him in a bad position too. You're putting him in a position to fail, because that's not the numbers and the history says that this is a position where he struggles at. So, he hit a homer, but he didn't hit a homer off a lefty, did he? He hit it off a righty. He ambushed an 0-0 fastball and hit it off a righty. So, I don't know. I mean, I get why people are pissed off. But, I mean, to me, the game wasn't lost because of that. It was lost because they scored one. They should have only scored one run, and Garver should never came to the plate. They dropped a fly ball in center field.
Hey,
I got it. No, I don't got it.
Why can't that be an error? I mean, I know we've talked. I think this came up before earlier in this season.
They need to have what's called a team error. Error. They don't have that. I mean, they just don't. I mean, they don't call errors on anything anymore.
Well, and as we talk about Tuesday's game, that's an error on Luke Raley, and why it was switched later. And I know why, because they probably didn't get the glove actually on the ball, but that's the part of the problem is that he didn't even actually get some of the glove on the ball.
You have to go 2 steps to your left, and that means it's not an error. I mean, the definition of an error is a routine play that should have been made. I think if you ask Luke Raley that he should make that play, you should say 100 times. You should say 99 out of 100 times he should make that play.
Exactly.
I mean, you see the look on his face after he didn't get it.
He knew right away.
Huge. It led to that. I mean, they're going to get a run there most likely because it wasn't hit very hard, and there was a runner at third, and I think he was going on contact.
Yeah.
But then, you get 2 outs in the inning, and then, you probably get out of that inning, you allow 1. They only get 2. They only get 1 run, and then they only get 2 there. It changes everything. This team isn't good enough right now. Yes, I know they've been better offensively, but you're not good enough to give away an extra run every game. That's what they're giving almost when they're bad and they lose these games. A lot of people talk about the offense. Yeah, it is. But Trent Thornton giving up the homer late and then them giving up the run, the extra run in that inning because Raley doesn't feel that ground ball. That's what cost them the loss. I mean, obviously they didn't hit, but you can't play for 1 run. You can't use strategy when you're playing down 3. You have to, you can't run, you can't steal, you can't do anything that you want to do to try and generate runs. You basically just have to, hit and hope that it's a homer. Get a walk, hit and hope because they're not. They put themselves in a position where they can't try and manufacture, do anything to generate runs other than trying to hit a home run, really, because they're not good enough to hit a bunch of singles.
Yeah. And then they get, as we record this on Wednesday, right? I mean, you get Tarek Scole that's going to be going tonight for them, and that's just going to be the Scole and George Kirby matchup is just going to be phenomenal. You know what I love about the Tarek Scole story is that here's a guy, not a first-round pick, not a second, I mean, he's a 9th-round pick who was coming off Tommy John surgery, who, there probably was no expectations for someone like him. I just love stories like this in all sports, but especially in baseball, when a guy, it was a talented pitcher, goes through an injury, but then goes to the minors, finds himself. Now he's the best pitcher in the American League, and maybe the best pitcher. You can certainly make an argument that he's the best pitcher in baseball. I don't know. I love those kind of stories.
He was, he was projected to go higher, but the injuries and some of the question marks surrounding the injuries, I think, lowered his draft stock a little bit. When he was, I think, he came to CLU, it was his only Division I offer. He had a lot of talent. I mean, he was drafted out of high school, and so there was some ideas when he was kind of going right that he could go higher. But he had some injury issues. And then, a couple years ago, there was some talk because he had dealt with some arm issues with the Tigers after being a kind of a touted prospect that they were considering trading him a couple years ago. And maybe it was a year ago at the deadline. So, yeah, and then even this year, I mean, with the Tigers being so bad, people were saying, well, maybe they should just try and get Jackson Holiday away from the Orioles for him or some of those guys, But, yeah, he's great. He leads baseball in 3 pitch strikeouts.
Oh, that's a great stat.
I think I just saw like he has like something like 92 0-2 counts on 2 pitches. Like he leads all of baseball in 0-2 counts, and then he leads all of baseball in 3 pitch strikeouts. I mean, that number probably could go up tonight, especially because Garver's playing because he's going to catch Kirby, and they're going to have to back Cal because Turner took 95 off his hand. So, Turner said, he goes, I'll try and be in the lineup tomorrow, but good Lord, that looked like it hurt a lot. It's going to be tough game, but you never know. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes the expected pitchers duels don't turn into that, but then, on Sunday with Wheeler and Gilbert, it sure was an expected pitchers duel, and it was. So, we'll see how they handle it, but Scooble's really good. And the one thing is he's kind of emotional, so if you get him pissed off a little bit, that's when you could have a little bit of luck.
They avoid a major scare there with Turner, or is that still to be determined?
No, the X-rays were negative, so he got lucky. We'll see. I'd be surprised if he plays today, but you never know. It looked like it hurt to me, so I don't know. And it's on that bottom hand, so it's hard to say. I'd be surprised if he plays, but. Man, when it happened, I thought, there's another guy with a broken hand and another guy in the IL.
What is there a setback with Julio? Yeah, he was there on Tuesday, and he was taking BP. He can hit. Servais told you guys, he really can't do much running right now with that high ankle sprain. It seemed like he was, initially felt like, once the 10 days was over, he would be ready to go. But it appears his recovery is slower than expected. Am I reading that right?
I think they thought initially, but then the next day it kind of swelled up quite a bit, and I think they realized that once, the days after how kind of the ankle sprain was more severe than they initially thought. Because I think that, he's able to come off the field, you're walking around, you feel like, oh, okay, this is okay. But then as the days, and then you try and do stuff. I think the problem is it's not, he can run what they call linearly. He can run straight lines, okay, in maybe not maximum Julio speed, but to do what he does in the outfield, I don't think he can do that. He can't move laterally. It doesn't feel stable. I think it's kind of you're going to baby it or whatever. There's a worry that it's weakened to the point where if he goes to take off for a ball in the gap or slow down, that the ankle buckles and you resprain it again. That there's just not a lot of strength and stability right there right now. He hit yesterday. He looked fine. I don't think he was going max effort or anything, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, 4 or 5 days, maybe he could come back, but it's, and somebody was asking, well, could they just DH him? I'm like, well, yeah, just add another DH to the group.
I think at some point they should just, can there be a lineup with just all DHs? Just go positionless, just all DHs everywhere.
Jack Sorenzik tried that a few times, so,
Yes, he did. Well, hey, one thing that's kind of been fascinating to watch, he's been a great story. The Victor Robles story has been awesome. Here's a guy that, we talked about Scole, right? Here's a guy that was the highly touted prospect. He was everything, right? He was a higher prospect with the Nationals than Juan Soto. At least he was regarded at the time. He was the starting center fielder on that team that ended up winning the World Series. And then it didn't work out. He comes here. He signs the minimum deal. He has been fantastic since coming over, especially with more playing time. And it's led people to start talking about, God, let's just sign him. Let's give him an extension. and that's how fans react. That's how all of us kind of react. I was curious your thoughts on it because I did ask Jim Duquette on Monday's show, hey, just give me what do you think it would look like if they did something? He goes, I wouldn't do too much. You got to do something real minimum with him because you don't know if he's gonna revert back to the old Robles, and it's not enough of a sample size. But he goes, hey, if you did something 1 year, $5.5 million, throw him that.
Yeah, you could do 2 years, 2 years, $7 million or something like that. $6-8 million. You do the Dylan Moore got 3 years, $8 million. the thing is he's not very old. What is he, 27, I think? So, like, I don't know. Yeah, you can do it that way. I think what else I mean, like, the thing is what is the sample size? 40 games, 45 games, 50 games? Like, that's it's like the Jeremy Reed September from, back in 2006 or whatever. It's like, I think Bucky had a longer period of success than Victor Robles has. I mean, the thing is, Robles, you're right. Like, when they let Bryce Harper walk to free agency, everyone was like, okay, we got Robles, and really, it was funny that everybody talks about it. Like, when Juan Soto got called up that first time, it was due to somebody being injured, and Robles was injured down in AAA or AA, so he couldn't get called up. So they brought up Soto, I want to say from high A or maybe AA, just to fill in for like a couple of weeks because he just didn't really have anybody else, and he just never left. I mean, he was just that good. And so it's like, Robles was always considered one of the top 5 prospects. I mean, you look at him, you see all the athleticism and stuff, but the power never translated, and then obviously the bat to ball wasn't as good with the Nats. But I do think, like, there was so much expectations there, and he was never kind of achieved them. I think him and Davey Martinez didn't really get along. You see how Victor kind of plays. I don't think Davey really cares for that kind of style. So it's like, it's like you come to a new family, you get the new stepdad who lets you do whatever. I mean, like, he's kind of himself. He's a little bit more relaxed and plays.
Is that how you look at Scott Servais, as the stepdad that lets you do whatever? I mean, he's not a step rad, but he's just stepdad.
No, he's just kind of, Scott's got the whole dad vibe, and he lets them be themselves within reason. So it's like, I think that's one of the things about Scott that makes him good is, like, he realized that you can't control who people really are. You can have expectations of being professional, but like the emotion and some of the other stuff, let them be. Let them, because players ultimately will be more productive if they're relaxed and feel comfortable with who they are instead of trying to be somebody else. I mean, I know everybody obsesses about the bullpen issue, the bullpen decisions, or the pinch hitting stuff and everything. So that's the definition of managers. Like, no, it's not. That's not even, because like you can just run it. Like you said, you can do percentages, you can do whatever. So I have my phone on my dash.
Overheated.
And it overheated. Yeah. So and I'm watching the worst parallel parker in the world try and park their vehicle.
iPhone's got to learn how to prevent the overheating. It happens a lot.
I know, so anyways, I was getting back to the role of a manager. Everybody's like, well, it's all about pitching changes and hitting and the lineup. When they're privy to more information, then they tell us or share with us, or who's feeling right, who isn't. But to me, the idea of a manager is to get your guys to play hard every day, to go out there and play hard, to kind of compete at all times and prepare to play hard, like, put in your work, do all the stuff. And like, I think that's the biggest key to any managerial success. You watch the White Sox, do you think they prepare to win? Do you think they play hard? I mean, even the Angels, some of these teams, like, you can tell when teams don't give a shit, And I will say this about the Mariners: as bad as they look at times, and kind of like, and usually it's because they're not hitting, like, they play to win, and they don't quit on games.
They just keep playing, like, and part of it is when you allow some ownership from the players and some freedom to say, hey, look, I'll let you be who you want to be. I'll let you be who you want to be. You just go out and play hard. And, and that minimal expectation of play hard, be a good teammate, be on time. I think it's a way that's the most important thing about a manager. It's not running a game. I mean, like, you win more games because your guys are prepared to play and they do the work than it is based on, like, pitching matchups and stuff, because, like, we don't even know the whole reason why. And honestly, like, no manager has control of their roster. I mean, like, I mean, they don't get to pick who's on their team anymore. The GMs have ultimate power in baseball now. It's not like on Moneyball where they had to, trade guys so they wouldn't play them. It's like, this is how it is. And I think Servais does a good job with that. And I'm not like saying he's the greatest game manager in the world. I'm not saying like, you know what, I've covered 9 or 8 of these guys. If they were to fire him, so be it. Like, my life moves forward. I like Scott. I think he's been better. I think he's been better as a manager than a lot of people give him credit for, particularly given what he's working with at times. But yeah, I mean, like, I think that's the biggest key for the Mariners. And for guys like Victor Robles is like, be yourself, play hard. We're not going to sweat the little things like whether or not you overreact to a home run or a catch,
Well, in a week's time, they will finish up their series against the Tigers. They got to go play Detroit again when they go on the road, and I believe we get Kirby and Scooble again there when they go to Detroit. They get 3 there with the New York Mets. The Mets making a rare visit out here to Seattle. Sunday Night Baseball, huh? How about that? Sunday Night Baseball back in Seattle for the first time since when? How many years has it been?
I think 21 years or 20 years, roughly the last time they were like, kind of relevant into that cause. I mean, there was times before where I thought they were going to get it, but,
Well, good for ESPN. I mean, the Braves must have been out of town. Red Sox probably not playing on Sunday. The Yankees probably aren't playing. Neither are the Cardinals or Cubs. So I didn't know all those teams have Sunday off. So good for ESPN.
So no, like apparently ESPN can only have when they change the new schedule and everything. And I think maybe the Red Sox and Yankees complain about being on Sunday Night Baseball. So like you can only do 3 road games and 3 away games, like for things like that. So I was talking to my friend Matt Gelb, who covers the Phillies, and he was saying like they've almost hit their limit of Sunday night games, so they don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, it's a lot easier, though, on the East Coast, to be perfectly honest. Like, you can do a Sunday night game because of the flights and trains and everything else. It's out here when they do it. I get it.
And then when we talk next week, or I guess we're going to talk on Friday, too. So I always forget that. But we may adjust. You and I have talked off air. We're going to adjust our schedule in the fall, but we don't need to update the listeners now on that one. We may pivot a little bit once football season starts. But God, look ahead to this one. This is a big. We're looking ahead like almost 11 days. Are you going to go on the Pittsburgh road trip?
Adam is doing Detroit and Pittsburgh.
He's pitching. He's going to pitch on. It looks like he's going to pitch on that Friday game, August 16th, and you're going to miss out on Skeens and then miss out on Livy. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's Adam has done Baltimore, Oakland, Cleveland, and he's got to do St. Louis, and he's also done Houston. I mean, he's got to go to Detroit, but letting him do Pittsburgh, I think, is a fair, because Pittsburgh is one of the coolest trips. It's a great park. It's a good area. It's awesome trip. So I got to reward him with something because it's like I'm never going to allow him to do San Diego ever in his life. So it's like, got to give him something. So I gave him Pittsburgh, and then I have to go to the Dodgers series in Dodger Stadium with the Ohtani media crush. So that's not exactly what you want.
Yes, it is.
Dodger Stadium isn't as much fun as people think.
Wonderful. Yeah,
as a fan,
that's what I'm talking about. It's wonderful. Go to the 300 level. I know it's everywhere else, but go to the 300 level and get one of those micheladas. You got to go see one of these things. They're like 32 ounces. And they put all that. What's the stuff around the rim of the glass? Is it tagine or what? Oh, my God.
Tagine, but that's just like
I know,
heartburn.
but this thing
like
is
snorting
massive.
heartburn.
It's like a big gulp. It's crazy. You wonder why there's so many fights there. God, it's a fight in a 32-ounce cup is what that thing is. I love Dodger Stadium. I love the backdrop. I love everything. All right. Hey, we've taken up a lot of your time here on this Wednesday show. Go get a haircut and be well, and we'll talk to you on Friday. There he is, the Ryan Divish Show, of course,
All right,
brought
sounds
to you
good.
by Chalet Bowl every single week. Go visit chaletbowl.com. Book your next reservation for your bowling experience located in historic Tacoma's Proctor District. We release these shows with Divish every Wednesday and Friday at 1 o'clock. You can find it, of course, as you're watching this, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Please leave a comment, subscribe, pass it along to family and friends. And, of course, you can listen to all and watch all the content up at pucksports.com. See you, Div.